Good morning. Good morning, good morning. It is great to be with you again, a little past 7, I should say. See you in the morning for your check-in with Kevin at 7 Irish time. What I want to talk to you about today is, I want to talk to you about morning, Becca. I want to talk to you about how do you have tough conversations, right? Uh, that's what we're going to talk about, right? We've shared before. Um, we shared before this idea that in between our expectations for our significant other or the person that we're just trying to connect with, Maureen Janine, there's oftentimes a gap, right? Oftentimes we've talked about before that there's a gap in between our Morning Pete. There's a gap in between. We're going to talk about tough conversations this morning, but oftentimes there's a gap in between our expectations for the person we're speaking with and what they actually do. I've talked to you about that before. I just want to use that as a seed, kind of to put some petrol in your tank, put some gas in your tank to help us get some lift off before I give you a new tool this morning, which is just how do you have tough conversations with the people in your life, personally or professionally, all right? We said in between, actually, I can show you this on the screen. So in between our expectations for our significant other, there's a gap. And we will put one of two things inside of that gap, right? We'll put one of two things inside that gap. Anybody remember? Anybody remember? You will put one of two things inside the gap between your expectations for the person you're speaking with, oftentimes significant other, but not always, or their and their behavior. We do. I mean, don't worry about my specific, but what do people do when they've expected something to happen, a situation, a circumstance to go a certain way, they may have even had agreement with it, with the other person, and it doesn't happen that way, and so there's a gap. What do we put inside that gap? Hey, got any ideas? What do we put inside that gap? We either BTB, remember what that is? BTB, or we ATW. Thought that was going to be ATV, Kev. All-terrain vehicle. No, we don't go on an all-terrain vehicle with them most of the time. What do you think we do in between our expectation for the other person? Hey, what happened? There we go. In between your expectation for somebody else and their performance or their behavior, what do we put inside this gap? I will tell you that assume, well, you know what? Let's make this a little smaller so maybe it's a little bit more legible. Assume the worst is what most of us do. Can we just be honest? We assume the worst. Most of us assume the worst. In between our expectation for the behavior of somebody else and what they do, if it doesn't align up, when it doesn't align up, it's really about expectations. We put one of two things inside this gap. We either assume the worst or what's the opposite? BTB. Guess. Kuma. Give us a guess. The opposite of assuming the worst might be BTB. Give it a go. Give it a guess. Jump in. Dive in. No such thing as a stupid question, stupid answer. Any guesses? Any ideas? I'm going to have to warm you up this morning, I think. Whoa, there we go. We got a winner, chicken dinner. Only it's too early for dinner. Believe the best. Yes, Janine, well done. Believe the best, right? Now, man, some of us, it's really, really hard to do. Some of us have a really, really hard time believing the best. Because, it's exactly about expectations. Some of us have a really hard time because, well, in short, I got that reflection in that mirror back there, which we don't need. Not any better. Okay, well, I just put me big noggin in the way, and that might. We have a tendency, some of us, to kind of expect the other shoe to fall or the other shoe to drop, and yet other people are wired to where they well, it's just easier for them to expect the best. It's easier, or believe the best. It's easier for them to believe that that it's all going to work out grand, right? And usually there's, pretty much people lean to either way. As much as people would like to say, well, I'm a realist. Yeah, okay, wonderful. But which way, if you push came to shove, would you tend to expect the worst, or would you tend to believe the best? Usually we go one way or the other. Now, that's the intro. That's our intro this morning, all right? Really, what I want to kind of guide you into is how to have a tough conversation. Now, for example, like when that happens, right? How to have a tough conversation. Okay, now, so when that happens, what do? Right? When they don't meet your expectations, when you might have had a conversation and you might have had agreement, if you have not yet found your way to a, you like the halo, Pete? Yes, thank you. When you everything doesn't kind of flow kosher, right? How do you, like most people, they we don't put much thought into how the conversation goes. We just dive right into I can't believe you did this again, or whatever the case might be, right? So we are yes. So how do you have a tough conversation is what we're talking about this morning, right? We are on Instagram and 3 different, I think, Facebook pages and so forth. So I want to encourage your participation and do say hello if you're chiming in from wherever. I won't be able to see all the notes, but I will check in a wee bit. All right, so first thought. Excuse me. First thought is is that it's really, really important to hold on to your goal, your desire, like what your outcome is, what you want the outcome to be from the conversation. It's really, really helpful to tell people what you're hoping to happen in the conversation instead of just diving straight in, like just going straight for the jugular. Can I encourage you? Don't go for the jugular. So, first thought is get a hold of vision. All right. So you want to believe the best, but having gotten that sorted and getting your head and framework in the right place, how getting your vision is the next thing. What do you want the outcome to be from the conversation? All right. And by saying that, by saying what you hope to happen from this conversation specifically, right? And I want you to get clear, right? A confused mind will not buy. You may say to me, but Kev, I'm not selling anything. You don't have to be selling anything. A confused mind will not buy into what you are saying, right? They may be present, they may listen, but so we want to be as clear as we possibly can be, right? Concrete, specific. Here's what I'm hoping that will happen in this conversation. You know, they don't matter if they may look at you and say, well, good luck. If they look at you and say, good luck, Then let them say good luck, right? You have as much chance as Bob Hope, right? My father would used to say. So we want to set vision. We want to set here's what I'm hoping that will come from this conversation. But you may think, well, isn't that letting the cat out of the bag? No, it's not letting the cat out of the bag. It's just stating your intention. And sometimes when people know your intention, where you're wanting to go in the conversation, it kind of takes down defenses. Especially when stuff didn't work out the way you wanted to. Like people just are ready for you to kind of come at them. So vision, really, really important. After we've gotten believe the best out of the way, then we want to say, hey, here's what I'm hoping that will happen in this conversation. And it's important that they know whether that's a behavior or whether that's an action or it's an outcome. And this kind of sets a runway for you even to have liftoff. You know, there have been many times in my life where I haven't even been able to take the plane off. I've had crash landing before I even took off. And I know I'm not alone. So that's the first thing, is state your vision or desire, right, of what you want to have happen in the conversation. Okay. Second thing is, and it might seem obvious to you, but second thing is to state the gap, right? How like what happened that didn't meet expectations, or what went down or didn't go down that. And again, you want to be really clear here, okay? And you may want to preface like, this is not an attack, but I want to get to a better place. I want us to get to a place, and you've just told them where you want to get to. So you want to, again, you want to be clear. You want to avoid generalizations. You know, you definitely want to avoid character assassinations or, you know, accusations as well, right? You're always late. I can't believe there's just an impossible chance that I'm ever going to trust you again. You know, like you want to stay away from that, basically. Gav, great to have you, man. So, state the gap, okay? Then, stay away from personal kind of attacks. Focus on the goal and focus on the outcome. Focus on the specific, right? I've told you before that the fight is never about the facts. Now, we have to address the facts, but the problem is actually about the message that you are sending to the other person while, you know, talking about the facts, right? But stop believing that the fight is about the facts. It's not about the facts. It's about what's going on underneath the facts. It's about how you've helped them to feel, or it's about what message you've sent to them that's been hurtful to them, etc. Okay? So gap is the second one that we want to kind of clarify, right? And then third one, this is just three, okay? Third one is to share what the opportunity is, right? Where, and it's kind of like it's like an Oreo cookie. If you've never tasted an Oreo cookie, you're missing out, right? There's this like biscuit on this side and biscuit on this side and some delicious like cream stuff in the middle. And so the vision is like one piece, and the opportunity is the other piece, and the cream is in the middle. Now, my counselor says it this way: it's kind of like stroke kick, but I can't show you my legs, so I'm just going to say stroke punch stroke, right? It's it's like stroke kick stroke is what my counselor would say. But stating the opportunity. Okay, what are you talking about, Kev? Right? The opportunity for improvement in the future. Like what good can we take out of this? And so you're keeping it positive. You're keeping it like from, you might want to burst them, but you're resisting the temptation, and you are, you know, you're stating what positive outcome can come from the ball getting dropped or whatever the case might be, right? So let me just check my notes to see if I have anything else here. Which I realize I'm not supposed to be telling you that that's what I'm doing, but hey. You know, especially when it's simple, right? When it's small misunderstanding or it's an oversight, then then just invite them in. Invite them into to the opportunity to change the picture, right? Like you might ask them, like, how can we do better? Or here's what I'd like to see in the future. Do you have any ideas about how this could look different, to prevent this down the road, right? And and after you've said whatever you want to say, then just allow for questions or comments, right? And that will help you know that they've picked up what you put down. In fact, you may even just say, "Can you just tell me what you're getting from me?" But Gavin, man, I love that. Always have hot words for a cool moment. The alternative leaves both burned. Yes, that is, now it's not funny, but that's really good. I love that. That is really good. Always leave hot words for a cool moment. The alternative leaves both burned. And I'm going to get to that tip in just a second, right, to give you some more pointers. You want to make sure that you're being understood, right? A lot of times people won't voluntarily kind of acknowledge the problem unless you invite them in. And so we want to invite them in, right? We want to invite them in to make sure that we're both on the same page. Nothing worse than being on the same page. Like ships passing in the night, just like, no, you're not getting me. And there's nothing worse for a fella, especially to be told you don't get it. You just don't get it, do you? I'm like, I want to get it, right? And there's nothing wrong with saying I want to get it. I think it's like music, right, to the speaker's ears. So, you can ask for agreement. You can ask, does that sound good to you? Does that make sense to you? All right. So here's just a couple of do's and don'ts. Okay. Do's and don'ts. Right. Before you have a tough conversation, I really want to encourage you to write down your thoughts and get clear about them before you kind of jump in. Most of the time, most of us don't give tough conversations time beforehand to process them in our heads. We just jump in, go for it, and our statistics show the same, right? So write down your thoughts. Get clear in your head. Like some of you don't need to write stuff down. Like your brains are like steel vaults. Once something goes in, locked, you've got it, right? Like, do not possess one of those. And most people don't, I'm going to suggest. So write down your thoughts. Don't enter a tough conversation unprepared. Don't enter a tough conversation unprepared. If I'm learning one thing, anything lately, that themes, they keep popping back up for us. One thought that's keeping popping back up for me is you just prepare. You got to prepare. You got to prepare. You got to prepare. You got to plan. You got to prepare. You got to prepare. Right? Scriptures say the horse is prepared against the day of battle. Safety is of the Lord, right? So there's only so much that you are able to do. Scriptures also say that we're called to live a peace with all men, right? As much as lies within you, live a peace with all men, right? So there's only so much you're going to be able to do. So it's not a guarantee, but hey, at least do your part. Most of the time, we're not even doing our part. And then we're kind of scratching our head as to why that didn't go well, and just blame it on the other person. So, great book. Extreme Ownership. Recommend it. Extreme Ownership. Okay, so you want to enter prepared. You don't want to enter unprepared, okay? I love this. Gavin shared earlier. Always leave hot words for a cool moment. Man, I am going to quote you on that. Always leave hot words for a cool moment. If not, both get burned, right? And so you want to, as best as you can, remain objective. And when emotions get involved, much harder to remain objective, right? So you absolutely have to leave generalizations and personal kind of cuts or put downs aside. It never helps. Actually, you know what? Like I have a list of these, right? So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'll share a couple more, and then I'm going to just say, if you want these, just write do and don't in the chat area, and I will get these. I will get these to you, and I will send you the tool. Okay. So let me give you another couple. Another do is make sure that you have understanding and agreement throughout the conversation. Make sure that you have understanding and agreement throughout the conversation. Don't renegotiate your expectations or decisions that you've made already, right? In other words, I'm saying to you, don't doubt in the darkness what has been made clear in the light. Don't doubt in the darkness what's been made clear in the light, okay? And then, the last thing I want to say is do affirm your belief in a better outcome, in a better future, right? Do affirm your belief in a positive, like they need to hear that. I'm going to tell you the greatest fear that men carry and the greatest fear that women carry in just 1 second, okay? After I finish this, affirm your belief in a better tomorrow, right? Affirm your belief in we can do this better next time, okay? And do not give the other person any reason to doubt your purpose, your plan, your intention. Like don't make it about like I have no expectations of you in the sense like I don't believe that anything good can come from this because you want to end this, right? You want to begin with a positive and you want to end with a positive. Or you have another communication tool just called the relationship temperature reading, and it begins with I appreciate or I'm excited about, right? And I'm hoping and wishing for this. These are positive bookends, right? In the middle, you've got the tough bits, right? And every tool doesn't work for everybody, right? So can I just say that to you too? Like we've been sharing a lot of tools in the last 6 weeks or so with you, and they're not all for you. They're not all for you. You don't use every single tool in your toolbox, in your tool bag, in your purse, girls. I mean, like, there's just not. So just allow for that too, all right? Some tools are going to float your boat. Some are maybe going to feel like you're drilling a hole in them. And that's fine, right? So we're talking about this morning, how do you have a tough conversation? First of all, you want to make an internal decision that you are going to believe the best when the circumstances aren't what you want them to be. That's huge. That just kind of lays the foundation. And then you want to, like we said in a little bit earlier, you want to state your vision, your desire for the outcome. You want to talk about like this is where I don't feel like we met the objective or the desired outcome, like what went wrong or whatever. And then you want to state the opportunity, but I think we can do better. And here's what I'm thinking. Do you have any ideas, right? And just invite them in, right? This isn't a dictatorship. This isn't a one-way street conversation. It goes both ways. So you want this tool, just write do and don't in the chat area and we'll make sure that we get this to you, right? So you want to clarify your vision. You want to just talk about what the gap is as to how come you didn't get there, or maybe what happened that resulted in you maybe not getting there, and then talk about the opportunity, right? About how you can take different steps next time to have a different result. And it's a tool. Tools are not solve-alls, right? Tools are not fix-alls. Tools are facilitators. Tools can get you further, faster. What is really, really important is that we make sure we have a healthy, solid foundation. Make sense? Right? And on top of that, then we add the tools, right? So a lot of times people say, just give me a tool, Kev. Do you have a tool for this? I have to say, well, yeah. It's not a tool that you need, bro. In fact, can I just share another just secret with you? Most people's problem ain't their problem. Huh? Most people's problem isn't their problem. Whose problem is it if it's not their problem? Well, actually, it's not the problem, I should say. Most people's problem is actually a symptom of a root issue or a root problem. And a lot of times, the reason why we don't have lasting change is because we're focusing on the symptoms and we're not getting to the root issues. And so and that's why I say to you, the facts aren't the problem. The facts aren't the root issue. So don't get caught up in the facts. Get underneath the facts to talk about, so what's going on here? Like what belief is driving this behavior? What's the perspective? What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Am I missing anything, etc.? I don't want to throw too much at you. I want to keep this clear. This tool really can be helpful. And what I mean about the foundation is that, hey, look, if our beliefs drive our behavior, then nothing's changing long term until our beliefs change. And I'm not talking only about faith, I'm talking about all of your beliefs. Belief drives behavior. You do what you do because you believe, or you hold a certain perspective, and that perspective drives your behavior. And until that perspective changes, the behavior isn't going to lastingly change. You can change and alter behavior for short periods of time without belief or perspective changing. If I don't believe that I can trust you, I'm going to behave in a way that is not trusting of you, usually. If I believe that I can trust you, you will find my heart opens to you and doesn't stay closed. How can you affect the change of beliefs in another person? They ultimately decide what they're going to believe in. What actions can you take to maybe help their heart open again? And some, it's been closed and self-protecting for so long. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just kind of held your hand really tight-fisted, for as long as you can, and then you try to open it, they say open it, and it's almost like, oh, it's kind of seized, Some of us have had ice castles around our hearts to protect them. And sometimes it takes a while for them to melt. But that's what love does. That's what love does. Love melts the heart. Love softens the heart. Love does the highest good for the one being loved. And so, let me say, if you would like this tool, just type in the words do and don't in the chat area, and we will get this tool to you. And remember, believing the best is the kind of like the runway to help every message, right? If 97% of your communication is nonverbal, or 93% of your communication is nonverbal, then 7% is really about your words, etc. You need to care a whole lot less about the words and a whole lot more about how you're showing up into that conversation. So this tool will help you prep that, help you do that. Any questions? Any questions today before we wrap up and I send you on your way to your rest of your week? Oh, thank you so much. I almost forgot. Yes. What are men's greatest fears and what is a woman's, well, even one, what's a man's greatest fear and what's a woman's greatest fear? Here's what we've seen. I will get you those, Mary. Here is here's ladies usually carry this fear. One day, my significant other will wake up and they will believe that I am too much, that I'm too fill in the blank, that I'm too loud, that I'm too opinionated, that I'm too critical, that I'm too, and they will reject me. The most frequent fear that women carry, and if you don't carry this, hallelujah for you, is that one day my significant other will wake up and realize that I'm too much. and they will disengage and leave. And they may not even leave like physically, but they will leave emotionally. And a distance will come and I will be rejected. Because I am rejectable and abandonable. Greatest fear. One of the greatest, most common fears women carry. And one, and I'm going to come back to give you the antidote to that in just a second. One of the greatest fears that men carry, or one of the most common fears that men carry, is one day my significant other is going to wake up and realize I am not up to the task. I don't have what it takes to love them like they deserve to be loved, to show up and do, provide, fill in the blank. Like, I'm not able to do this. I'm not cut out for this. I can't. And they're going to wake up and realize I'm not a, it's the opposite, right? It's the opposite. I'm laughing because one of you has just written, mine is I won't ever own a supercar. Well, that may be rooted in this core belief, you see. I would suggest that might sit on top of this core belief, which may be I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not fill in the blank enough to pull that off. Let me give you the antidote. Ladies, I don't care who in the world has sent this message to you that you are rejectable, that you are abandonable. Truth, you are the apple of your maker's eye. Truth, you deserve the absolute best. You deserve your spouse, your partner, your fiance. You deserve them to go to the ends of the earth for you. If you are rejected, if you are abandoned, please hear me. It is not about you, but it is about the one who has rejected or abandoned you. Because your Maker says that you are accepted in the beloved. You are beloved, you are accepted, you are worthy, and you are secure. And my heart's desire for you, if you get nothing from all of these lives, my heart's desire for you is that something would shift inside of you and that you would begin to live from a place of your belovedness and acceptance, worth, and security, no matter who has sent the opposite message to you in your story called life. Because when you live from the truth of the fact that you are beloved, accepted, worthy, and secure, you bring the best version of you into every relationship, every conversation, every situation. And you live in the fullness that your big brother, his name is Jesus, came to give to you. You're still human. Stuff still hurts. Yes, you do not want to be rejected or abandoned. Nobody does. But you begin to read, to see that when ugly comes to you from another, it is not about you. It's about something that's going on inside of them. I hope that encourages you, ladies. Lads, come here to me. Are you listening, lads? In the Bible, God spoke the names of men twice, oftentimes. I'm convinced it's because I don't think they were listening the first time. So he says, Abe, Paul, Moses. So come here to me, listen to me. Here's a nugget for you. You are more than able to accomplish what concerns you this day. Male or female. As long as you depend on the one who's put all this together. In a book called Philippians 4:13, he says, listen, you could do everything through Jesus. Who gives you the strength and the ability to do it? I'm not saying that you're going to be a constant pianist, because he may not have gifted you that way, and you might not be putting in the work. Can we just shoot straight here? But you are up to the task of loving the one you're with, of learning how to love them better, of getting free from what every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks about you, because you are not living your life in order to gain love and acceptance and worth and approval from them. You already have it. You already have it. Go live like you have it. But you see, if you don't believe that, then you won't live that way. You can't live that way. You can only give what you have. This is why your Irish brother, your Irish cousin, your Irish uncle, call me whatever you want to call me, has found his way onto your computer screen, your phone, today, this morning, so that you could be reminded, if you get nothing else, you can do this, but not in your own strength. Because you see, in our weak moments, we are the most open to receive a power that is so much greater than what we possess in and of ourselves. We were never designed to do this life alone. We've just had very few models to show us how. It begins with accepting. I'm not able to figure all this out on my own, and that's not a terribly awful, no good, bad thing. Actually, that's a beautiful thing, because it opens me up to being a beginner. It opens me up to receiving what I do not possess in and of myself. And when I'm open, I'm able to receive, and it is able to take me further, faster, and I'm able to walk and live and love and lead in the fullness of life that my Maker and your Maker came to give to us. There is little better news than that, I reckon. May you not have to experience terrible pain in order for you to become open to that truth and receptive of it, so that you can live from it. If this has resonated with you, if it's landed on the runway of your life, will you do your Irish brother a favor and will you sprinkle this? Because they won't let us say S-H-A-R-E. My mammy used to spell something different, but I won't go into that now. But the interwebs like for people to share what is organically impacting their lives. They don't want it to be forced. And so I don't want to force you either, but I do want to ask you that you would give it a heart or two, give it a thumbs up, and sprinkle it among your circle of influence. And know this, we have a beautiful team, 23 of us all together, about 15 or so coaches and counselors that the world over, via video, phone, and obviously locally in office, through hourly, through courses, through intensives, help you get rid of your excess baggage and live and love and lead a whole lot lighter and a whole lot freer than ever before. And it's my honor to get to just pop in to you and have a cup of cha or a flavored water, whatever you're having, and just kick some of these ideas around, because they are truly, gang, they are they have the power to change your life. You don't have to understand it all. You just have to be open. You just have to be willing. Hey, God, I don't go to church much. You can't go to church right now. It's not about your church attendance, gang. It's about you just becoming open to your Maker, who loves you more than I think we'll ever really understand until we go to that place called heaven. But for now, can I encourage you to believe the best? Can I encourage you to share your vision, state what the gap is, and talk about the opportunity, about what you're hopeful for in the future, how you both can contribute towards that. And now, ladies, you are not too much of anything. We're all changing, we're all transforming. God's healing all of us in our stories and from the wounds that we've experienced or whatever. You are not too much. If you are rejected, if you get abandoned, it is because of something going on in the one who's rejecting or abandoning you, not you. And I'm not shirking personal responsibility, right? Just to be clear. And lads, you can do this. Like I told you before, you're a brilliant communicator. All you are needing is some practice and some equipping. So stop believing you're a lousy communicator, because you're not. You're just needing a bit more practice. I'm telling you, if you're a thick-headed Irish brother who's still learning, by the way, can lead a beautiful team of 20 plus. My last born just graduated from secondary school, high school in America, right? On his way to college. I'm telling you that because I was reminded of my high school grades. Listen to me. I got by the skin of my teeth. This isn't about intellect, gang. It's about openness. And our big brother says, look, I want you to have my mind. Let his mind dwell in you. And when you live in that way, it is life and it is peace. But if you live independent of him, he says it's death. So, Pete, love to have you, man. Let's talk more, all right? Hey, two things are happening. One, we're opening the doors to our Live Love Lead Academy, where you get stuff like this and archives and tools galore, et cetera, and then individual access to questions and coaching for what the details are in your story, and we'll get that information to you real soon. And second, if you feel called to either just develop you better, more, deeper, we are launching a life coach certification program, and we would love for you to at least consider being a part of that, and you'll get that information in the next few days. We'll post it here on social media, and we will get emails to you if you are on our email list. If you would like the tool for today, write do and don't in the comment area, and we'll get that to you. Otherwise, have a phenomenal Wednesday, and we will see you on the flippity flip. We'll see you in the morning, all right? While we can keep these things going for as long as we can. Before then, may you feel his favor in your story today. May you know his peace. May you live free, may you live well, and may you lead authentically. And we'll see you in the morning. Take care.